Commander Alex Reed stepped into the massive chamber of the Galactic Council, his boots echoing against the crystal floor. The room stretched high above him, filled with floating platforms where alien delegates sat in their strange chairs and breathing apparatus. Some looked like giant lizards with 4 arms, others glowed like living diamonds, and a few resembled walking trees with too many eyes. They all stared down at the small human delegation with what Alex could only describe. As amusement, the human team had traveled for 8 long months to reach this place. Their ship was the fastest Earth had ever built, but it still crawled compared to the alien vessels that could cross the galaxy in days. Alex carried with him humanity's formal request to join the war against something called the Devourers, species that was eating its way across the galaxy like hungry insects. Ambassador Corvex of the Draconi Empire spoke first. He was 12 feet tall with dark scales and yellow eyes that seemed to glow in the chamber's light. His voice boomed through the translation devices that let all species understand each other. Also the little mammals from the 3rd planet. Finally. Crawled out of their system, Corvex said, and several delegates made sounds that the translators turned into laughter. Tell us, Commander Reed, what exactly do you think your primitive species can offer in our war against the Devourers? Alex had prepared for this question during the long journey. Earth may not have your advanced technology, but we have experience in warfare. We've been fighting for thousands of years. We understand tactics, strategy, and the will to survive against impossible odds. A crystalline being called a Theron flashed bright colors that translated as scornful laughter. Your species still uses chemical rockets and metal bullets. You haven't even developed faster-than-light communication. The Devourers have consumed civilizations 1,000,000 years more advanced than yours. The cavalry representative buzzed through for speaking holes. The humans don't even qualify as a spacefaring civilization by galactic standards. They've barely explored their own star system. Alex felt his jaw tighten, but he kept his voice steady. We may be behind in technology, but we learn fast. Give US access to your databases. Share your knowledge of the enemy, and we'll find ways to contribute. Contribute what? Another delegate called out. Your fastest ships would take decades to reach the battle zones. Your weapons couldn't scratch the hull of a Devourer scout ship. Your entire planet's military couldn't match a single alien cruiser. Chamber filled with more sounds of alien amusement. Alex looked around at the hundreds of species represented here. Each one commanded fleets of impossible ships, weapons that could destroy planets, and technologies that seemed like magic too. Human eyes. And they were losing the war. For 3 years, the Galactic Alliance had fought the Devourers across 1,000 star systems. The enemy consumed everything in their path, turning entire worlds into more ships and weapons. Every battle ended in retreat. Every strategy failed as the Devourers adapted and grew stronger. The war is not going well for any of us, Alex said, raising his voice to be heard over the chatter. Your advanced civilizations are being pushed back system by system. Maybe it's time to try something different. Corvex's laugh was like rocks. Grinding together? Different? Your species discovered fire yesterday by galactic standards. What could you possibly know about warfare that we don't? The voting began almost immediately. Species after species cast their votes on humanity's request for alliance status. The results appeared on holographic displays throughout the chamber. Red symbols filled the air, each one a rejection of Earth's plea for inclusion. Alex watched. As the final tally appeared, not a single species had voted to accept humanity into the alliance. The message was clear and brutal. Earth was too primitive, too weak, too insignificant to matter in a galactic war. The decision is unanimous, announced the council speaker, a floating energy being that communicated through pure light. Humanity's request for alliance status is denied. Earth will receive no technology transfers, no military support, and no protection from Devourer incursion. The chamber began to empty as delegates floated back to their ships. Some paused to look at the human delegation with what might have been pity. Others ignored them completely, as if they had already forgotten Earth existed. As Alex and his team gathered their few belongings, Ambassador Corvex approached them. The massive reptilian being looked down at the humans with something that might have been sympathy. "A word of advice," Commander Korvek said quietly. "When the Devourers reach your system, surrender immediately. Don't try to fight. It will only make your end more painful." Alex met the alien's glowing eyes without flinching. "We'll keep that in mind." The human delegation walked out of the chamber in silence. Their small transport ship waited in the docking bay, looking pathetic next to the sleek alien vessels that surrounded it. As they prepared for the long journey home, Alex's communications officer approached him. "Sir, the recording devices worked." "Perfectly," Lieutenant Park said in a low voice. "We got detailed scans of every piece of technology in that chamber. The computer systems, the translation networks, even some of their weapon signatures." Alex nodded. Before entering the chamber, he had ordered his team to plant tiny scanning devices throughout the council halls. If the aliens wouldn't share their technology willingly, humanity would find other ways to learn. "What about the data intercepts?" Alex asked. "Even better, sir. We tapped into their communication networks during the session. We have detailed information about Devourer tactics, ship designs, and battle records. Everything they've learned. About the enemy over 3 years of fighting." Alex smiled grimly as their ship lifted off and began the long journey back to Earth. The Galactic Council had dismissed humanity as primitive and worthless. They had refused to share their knowledge or include Earth in their war plans. But they had also underestimated human determination and cleverness. The aliens fought their war with honor and established protocols. They shared information freely among allies and trusted in their superior technology. They never imagined that the primitive humans might be recording their secrets or stealing their data. As Earth grew larger in their view screen weeks later, Alex began composing his report for the military leadership. The galaxy was at war, and humanity was on its own. But they weren't helpless. They had something the advanced civilizations seemed to lack: the willingness to cheat, steal, and fight dirty when survival was at stake. The Galactic Council had made their choice. Now it was time for humanity to make theirs. Dr. Maya Okafor rubbed her tired eyes and looked at the data streaming across the wall displays in her laboratory. The hidden facility beneath the moon's surface had become the most important place in the solar system, though most of humanity didn't even know it existed. For 6 months, her team had worked day and night to understand the alien technology that Commander Reed's mission had secretly recorded. The laboratory was a maze of holographic displays, quantum computers, and prototype devices that would have seemed impossible just a year ago. Scientists and engineers from every nation on Earth worked together here, united by the knowledge that their species' survival might depend on their success. General Torres entered the lab, his military uniform looking out of place among the white coats and scattered equipment. He was the head of Earth's newly created Deep Space Command, a secret organization formed to prepare humanity for a war that most people didn't know was coming. "What do you have for me, Doctor?" Torres asked as he joined Maya at the main display. Maya gestured to the complex diagrams floating in the air around them. "It's fascinating, General. Every alien technology we've analyzed follows the same pattern. Each species developed along very narrow paths, becoming incredibly advanced in specific areas while ignoring others completely." She highlighted sections of alien ship designs and weapon systems. Take the Kavari shields, for example. They operate on harmonic frequencies that can stop any energy weapon in the galaxy. Perfect defense against lasers, plasma cannons, particle beams, anything that uses directed energy. But look at this. The display showed the mathematical formulas underlying the shield technology. They never developed defenses against simple kinetic weapons. A rock thrown fast enough would pass right through their shields because their entire defensive philosophy assumes all threats will be energy-based. Torres studied the data with interest. And the Theran weapons? Even more specialized, Maya replied, bringing up new displays. Their quantum targeting systems can lock onto any known ship design and hit targets across multiple star systems. Impossible to jam. Impossible to fool. Absolutely perfect accuracy. But here's the weakness. She pointed 2 lines of alien code that her team had decoded. The targeting system relies on recognizing specific technology signatures. It knows how to track Kavari engines, Draconi hulls, every known ship type in the galaxy. But it has no idea what to do with an unknown signature. Maya walked to another section of the lab where prototype human ships were being designed. Every alien species we've studied has this same blind spot. They're so advanced in their chosen specialties that they never considered alternatives. Kavari never needed kinetic weapons because their shields were perfect. The Theran never developed stealth because their targeting was flawless. And humans are different how? Torres asked. Maya smiled for the first time in weeks. We're the species that built both nuclear weapons and nuclear power plants from the same technology. We developed radar and radar jamming systems at the same time. We created computer viruses while we were still learning to use computers. We spent our entire history fighting each other, so we've learned to prepare for every possible threat. Led Torres to a secured area where the first human warships were taking shape. The designs looked strange compared to the sleek alien vessels they had studied. Human ships were angular and aggressive, covered in armor plating and bristling with weapon systems that seemed crude compared to galactic technology. We're not trying to match their advanced systems, Maya explained. We're building ships that work in ways they've never seen before. Railguns instead of energy weapons. Stealth systems based on principles they never developed. Electronic warfare capabilities that can disrupt their perfect targeting systems. Torres examined the ship designs with growing excitement. These actually look like they could work. There's more, Maya said, leading him to the most classified section of the facility. While other species fear artificial intelligence and limit their computers to basic calculations, we've embraced AI technology. Our ship computers don't just follow programs, they think and adapt in real time. The prototype AI system they had developed was unlike anything in the galactic database. Where alien computers were powerful but predictable, human AI was chaotic and creative. It could analyze a battle situation and invent new tactics on the spot, something no alien commander would expect. The AI systems can coordinate multiple ships, adapt to changing conditions, and most importantly, they can learn from mistakes faster than any biological mind, Maya continued. While the aliens rely on established battle doctrines and centuries of military tradition, our ships will fight like humans do, using tricks and improvisation. Torres studied the technical specifications with amazement. How long until we can build a real fleet? The first ships will be ready in 8 months, Maya replied. We're using manufacturing techniques that the aliens never developed because they've had replicator technology for so long. Mass production, standardized parts, assembly lines, all the industrial methods that made Earth's wars so devastating. She showed him production schedules and resource allocation charts. We're converting asteroid mining operations into ship factories. Every piece of space-based industry is being retooled for military production. Within 2 years, we'll have more ships than most alien civilizations can build in decades. And the weapons? Torres asked. Maya grinned. We're mounting nuclear warheads on our missiles. The aliens stopped using nuclear weapons millions of years ago because they developed cleaner energy sources. They've forgotten how devastating atomic explosions can be, especially in the confined spaces of ship corridors. The tours continued through laboratories where human scientists were reverse engineering alien technologies and combining them with human innovations, medical systems that could keep crews alive in impossible conditions, life support systems that could function even with massive hull breaches, communication networks that couldn't be intercepted or jammed. The beautiful thing about being primitive, Maya said as they completed the tour, is that nobody expects you to have solutions they haven't thought of. The galactic civilizations have been fighting the same way for millions of years. They have rules, protocols, and established methods for everything. And we don't, Torres finished. Exactly. We're going to fight this war like humans have always fought wars. We'll cheat, we'll use dirty tricks, and we'll hit our enemies in ways they never saw coming. The aliens think technology determines victory. They're about to learn that sometimes the most primitive solution is the most effective one. As Torres left the facility, Maya returned to her work. The first human deep space fleet would launch in 8 months, carrying weapons and tactics that no alien species had ever encountered. The galaxy had dismissed Earth as too primitive to matter in their war. Soon they would discover that sometimes being underestimated was the greatest advantage of all. Admiral Lisa Chen stood on the bridge of the HSS Defiance, watching the outer reaches of the solar system through the main display. 3 years had passed since Commander Reed's failed mission to the Galactic Council. 3 years of secret preparation, desperate construction, and the growing fear that humanity might face extinction alone. The Devourer's scout fleet had arrived exactly as Earth's intelligence had predicted. 12 massive bioships, grown rather than built, pulsed through space, like living creatures hunting for prey. Each vessel was the size of a city, covered in organic armor that seemed to shift and breathe as they moved toward the inner planets. "Sir, enemy ships are maintaining course for Earth," reported Lieutenant Park from the sensor station. "They're ignoring our communication attempts completely." Chen had expected that. According to the stolen alien data, Devourers never communicated with their prey. They simply consumed everything in their path, converting matter and energy into more ships. For their endless swarm, entire civilizations had been digested this way, their knowledge and culture lost forever. "Fleet status report," Chen ordered. "All 12 ships ready for combat," came the reply from Commander Williams. "The Retribution, Vengeance, and Thunder are in position near Jupiter's orbit. The smaller vessels are maintaining stealth protocols. In the asteroid belt, human fleet looked pathetic compared to the approaching enemy. Earth's entire deep space navy consisted of only 12 warships, hastily built using reverse-engineered alien technology and human engineering. Each ship was a compromise between what humanity wanted to build and what they could actually construct with their limited resources. But Chun knew something the Devourers didn't. The bioships approaching Earth had consumed the databases and tactical knowledge of hundreds of alien species. They knew exactly how to counter Kavari's shields, disrupt Theran quantum weapons, and overwhelm Draconi armor plating. They had adapted to every known form of galactic warfare. They had never encountered human technology before. "Hey, sir, the lead Devourer ship is scanning us," Park reported. "Their biosensors are trying to classify our vessels according to known galactic ship types." Chen smiled grimly. The human ships had been specifically designed to confuse alien sensors. Their hulls combined Earth steel with alien materials in ways that created confusing signatures. Their engines used modified fusion drives that didn't match any known propulsion system. To alien sensors, they would look primitive and harmless. "Them scan," Chen said. "All ships maintain current positions until they enter the kill zone." The Devourer ships spread out as they approached Jupiter's orbital path, following standard Predator tactics, expected to find either a mass defensive formation or scattered prey trying to flee. Instead, they found human ships that seemed to be moving randomly, with no apparent strategy or coordination. The bioships began their attack with confidence. Organic weapons that looked like giant thorns launched from their hulls, seeking the heat signatures of human engines. Bioelectric discharges reached out to disable what they assumed were primitive electronic systems. Acid clouds deployed to dissolve metal hulls. None of it worked the way the Devourers expected. "Execute pattern Delta," Chen ordered quietly. The human fleet suddenly scattered in 3 dimensions. Moving with precision that revealed their random positioning had been carefully planned. Advanced stealth systems activated, making the ships nearly invisible to biological sensors that had been designed to track known alien technologies. The Devourer weapons, seeking targets that were no longer where they appeared to be, struck empty space. Their bioelectric attacks found nothing to disable because human electronics were shielded using principles unknown to galactic science. Their acid clouds dissolved nothing because human hull materials had been specifically chosen to resist biological weapons. "All ships weapons free," Chen commanded. The human counterattack began with weapons that hadn't been seen in galactic warfare for millions of years. Railguns, massive electromagnetic cannons that accelerated metal slugs to incredible velocities, fired from hidden positions throughout the battle zone. The kinetic projectiles moved too fast for biological reflexes to track and hit with force that even organic armor couldn't absorb. The first Devourer ship shuddered as a railgun slug punched completely through its hull. Biofluid sprayed into space as internal organs ruptured. The creature ship writhed in pain, its biological systems trying to seal the wounds. But more slugs followed before it could heal. Nuclear missiles, weapons so primitive that no galactic civilization had used them in eons, detonated inside the wounded bioships. The atomic explosions didn't just destroy tissue and organs. They flooded the creatures with radiation that disrupted their bioelectric nervous systems. Ships that had survived planet-killing energy weapons died screaming from radiation poisoning. Sir, the enemy is trying to adapt, Williams reported. The remaining ships are hardening their bioarmor and adjusting their defensive patterns. Then we adjust too, Chen replied. All ships execute protocol chaos. The human fleet's artificial intelligence systems activated their most devastating capability. Instead of following a predetermined battle plan, each ship's AI began improvising tactics in real time. The computers analyzed Devourer responses and invented new attack methods faster than biological minds could process. Ships that had been firing railguns suddenly switched to electronic warfare, flooding the bioships with signals that confused their primitive nervous systems. Vessels that had been attacking from one angle appeared somewhere else entirely, using stealth systems that worked on principles the Devourers had never encountered. The enemy tried to coordinate their response, but human cyber warfare programs had infiltrated their bioelectric communication networks. Viruses designed specifically to disrupt organic computer systems spread through the Devourer fleet, causing ships to receive false orders and attack each other instead of the humans. Target the command ship, Chen ordered, as she identified the largest biovessel. All weapons, concentrated fire. 6 human ships opened fire simultaneously on the Devourer flagship. Railgun slugs, nuclear missiles, and electromagnetic pulse weapons struck the creature from multiple angles. Its bioarmor evolved to resist energy weapons, proved useless against kinetic impacts and atomic explosions. The command ship convulsed as its central nervous system was destroyed. Without coordination from their leader, the remaining Devourer ships began to panic. Some tried to flee, others attacked randomly, and a few turned on each other as human cyberviruses corrupted their communications. Sir, we're receiving a distress signal, Park announced with surprise. It's coming from the Devourer ships. They're trying to surrender. Chen stared at the display in amazement. According to every piece of galactic intelligence, Devourers never surrendered. They fought until death, consuming and being consumed in an endless cycle of warfare. The concept of surrender was supposedly alien to their hive-minded nature. There. Requesting mercy, Park continued, reading the translated biosignals. The surviving ships want to withdraw from the system. Denied, Chen said firmly. These creatures have consumed entire civilizations. There will be no mercy. The battle continued for another hour, but the outcome was never in doubt. Human weapons and tactics, primitive by galactic standards, proved devastatingly effective against an enemy that had never encountered them before. The Devourer scout fleet was completely destroyed. Not a single human casualty, as the last bioship died in nuclear fire. Chen looked around her bridge at the amazed faces of her crew. They had just accomplished what the entire Galactic Alliance had failed to do in 3 years of warfare. They had defeated the Devourers decisively, using nothing but human ingenuity and the willingness to fight dirty. Communications, send a message to Earth Command, Chen ordered. Tell them the outer system is secure. Then contact our intelligence networks and make sure recordings of this battle reach every species in the galaxy. Sir, Park asked, confused. Chen smiled as she watched the debris of the enemy fleet drift through space. The aliens dismissed us as too primitive to matter in their war. It's time to show them what primitives can accomplish when they stop playing by civilized rules. Ambassador Corvex felt his tail twitch with nervousness as he waited in Earth's new orbital diplomatic station. The massive reptilian being had traveled across the galaxy to meet with the same primitive species he had mocked just 2 years earlier. Everything had changed since the humans destroyed that Devourer scout fleet. And now Korvax found himself in the uncomfortable position of asking for help from creatures he had dismissed as worthless. The station itself was a clear message from humanity. It looked nothing like the elegant alien structures that filled the galaxy. Instead, it was built like a fortress, thick armor plating and weapon systems that made even experienced military officers uncomfortable. The humans had combined their crude engineering with stolen alien technology to create something that was both primitive and terrifyingly effective. General Torres entered the conference room, accompanied by Dr. Maya Okafor and several other human officials. Korvax was surprised to see that they looked calm and confident, nothing like the desperate delegation that had begged for help 2 years ago. The humans took their seats across from the assembled alien representatives, and Torres activated a holographic display that filled the center of the room. The situation has become critical. Torres began without any diplomatic pleasantries. Our intelligence networks report that the Devourer main fleet is now 3 weeks from the galactic core. Your combined forces have fought bravely, but every major engagement has ended in defeat. The display showed the current state of the galactic war. Red markers indicated fallen worlds, while blue showed the slowly retreating Alliance forces. The tide of war clearly favored the Devourers, who had consumed dozens of star systems and grown stronger with each victory. Korvax studied the tactical information with growing despair. The situation is worse than our public reports indicated. He admitted, "We've lost contact with entire fleet groups." The Devourers seem to learn from every battle, adapting their tactics to counter our strategies. A crystalline Theran representative flashed worried colors. Their bioships now carried defenses against our quantum weapons. They've somehow learned to disrupt our targeting systems and jam our communications. Each engagement teaches them more. About how we fight, Dr. Okafor leaned forward, her expression serious. That's exactly the problem. You've been fighting this war using the same methods for 3 years. The Devourers have consumed the databases of hundreds of civilizations, learning everything there is to know about galactic military doctrine. They understand your weapons, your tactics, and your strategic thinking. And you have a solution? Asked the Kavari representative, his forearms gesturing skeptically. Torres smiled grimly. We have a different approach. Human military technology doesn't appear in any galactic database because we developed it independently. Our AI systems think in ways that biological hive minds can't predict. Our weapons exploit weaknesses that the Devourers don't know exist. The display changed to show recordings from humanity's victory over the Devourer scout fleet. The alien representatives watched in amazement as human ships used tactics that seemed impossible by galactic standards. Ships that appeared to vanish and reappear at will. Weapons that punched through bioarmor that had resisted planet-killing energy blasts. Electronic warfare that turned the enemy's own coordination systems against them. How is this possible? Korvax demanded. Your technology is centuries behind ours. These ships should have been destroyed in minutes. It's exactly why they weren't, Maya replied. Your advanced civilizations all developed along similar paths. You share technologies, exchange information, and follow established principles of warfare. The Devourers have learned to counter all of those approaches because they're predictable. She gestured to the battle recordings. Human tactics aren't in their database because we've been isolated from galactic civilization. We fight dirty, we use weapons you abandoned millions of years ago, and we employ strategies that your military academies would consider primitive or dishonorable. Torres activated new displays showing the current positions of both the Devourer fleet and the retreating Alliance forces. Humanity offers to lead a combined galactic fleet in a final push against the main enemy armada. Our ships will form the core of the attack force, using tactics the Devourers have never encountered. And what do you want in return? Korvax asked, though he suspected he already knew the answer. Full technological exchange, Maya said firmly. Not just military hardware, but everything. Medical technology, manufacturing systems, faster-than-light travel, energy generation, communication networks. Earth becomes a full partner in galactic civilization, with access to all shared knowledge. The alien representatives exchanged glances and flashed worried colors. The Theran spoke first. That level of technology transfer is unprecedented. No species has ever been granted immediate advanced status without centuries of gradual development. No species has ever offered to save the galaxy from extinction, Torres replied calmly. You have a choice to make. Continue fighting with methods. The Devourers have already learned to counter, or accept that sometimes the most primitive solutions are the most effective ones. Corvex felt the weight of decision pressing down on him. His empire was losing the war, watching helplessly as their greatest fleets were consumed by an enemy that seemed to grow stronger with each victory. The humans were offering hope, but at a price that violated thousands of years of galactic tradition. Your species has been spacefaring for less than a century, he said slowly. How can we trust you with technologies that took us millions of years to develop? Because we're the ones who figured out how to kill Devourers, Torres answered simply. Your millions of years of development created weapons and defenses that the enemy has learned to counter. Our crude technology is something they've never seen before. The Kavari representative buzzed thoughtfully. If we agreed to this arrangement, humanity would effectively become the dominant military power in the galaxy. Your ships would carry our most advanced weapons combined with your unpredictable tactics. That's correct, Maya acknowledged. But consider the alternative. If the current strategy continues, there won't be a galaxy left to worry about dominance in. The Devourers will consume everything, including Earth. For several hours, the alien representatives debated among themselves using communication methods that human technology couldn't intercept. Corvex watched Torres and his team wait patiently, showing none of the desperation that had characterized their first diplomatic contact. These humans knew they held the winning hand now. Finally, the alien delegates reached their decision. The Theron flashed agreement colors, while the Kavari buzzed acceptance. Smaller species representatives added their consent to the growing consensus. The Galactic Alliance accepts humanity's proposal, Corvex announced formally. Earth will receive full technology transfer and partnership status. In return, human forces will lead the combined fleet against the Devourer main armada. Torres nodded as if he had never doubted the outcome. We'll need 6 months to integrate alien technology with our ship designs and train mixed crews. Dr. Okafor's team will work directly with your best engineers to create hybrid vessels that combine the strengths of both approaches and the battle plan, asked the Kavari representative. Leave that to us, Torres said with a smile that made several aliens uncomfortable. We'll fight this war the human way. The Devourers are about to learn what happens when prey decides to bite back. As the meeting concluded and the alien representatives prepared to return to their ships, Corvex approached Torres privately. I owe you an apology, General. When your people first came to us, I dismissed you as primitive barbarians who had nothing to offer civilized society. Torres met the alien's glowing eyes without hostility. You weren't wrong about us being barbarians, Ambassador. The difference is that sometimes barbarians are exactly what civilization needs to survive. Admiral Lisa Chen stood on the bridge of the HSS Retribution, watching as the largest military fleet in galactic history formed up around her flagship. 10,000 ships from dozens of species had gathered at the Sigma Draconis system for what everyone knew would be the final battle of the Devourer War. The combined fleet stretched across space like a metal constellation, representing the last hope of every civilization in the galaxy. The past 6 months had transformed both humanity and their alien allies. Human engineers had worked alongside galactic scientists to create hybrid warships that combined the best of both technologies. Alien energy shields now protected human kinetic weapons. Advanced faster-than-light drives carried primitive nuclear warheads across star systems. Most importantly, human artificial intelligence systems had been integrated with alien sensor networks to create tactical capabilities that neither species could have achieved alone. Sir, final fleet status report, Commander Williams announced from his position at the tactical station. All vessels are in position and ready for combat. We have confirmation from all task force commanders. Chen nodded as she reviewed the battle formation on her displays. The fleet was organized according to human tactical doctrine, with individual ships given the freedom to adapt and improvise rather than following rigid formations. This approach had initially confused the alien captains. who were used to precise coordination and established battle plans. But they had learned to trust human methods after seeing the results. Long-range sensors are detecting movement in the outer system, reported Lieutenant Park. The Devourer main fleet is beginning to emerge from hyperspace. The enemy force that appeared on the tactical displays was beyond anything the galaxy had ever seen. Over 8,000 bioships of various sizes filled the void, including 6 massive world eaters that were each the size of small moons. Devourers had consumed entire star systems to build this armada, and their confidence showed in their approach formation. Chen studied the enemy fleet with professional interest. The bioships had evolved since humanity's first encounter with them. They now carried defenses specifically designed to counter human weapons, having learned from the destruction of their scout fleet. Thicker bioarmor to resist kinetic impacts, electromagnetic shielding to deflect railgun slugs, and radiation-resistant organs to survive nuclear explosions. They've adapted to our previous tactics, Williams observed. The bioships are showing modifications based on our engagement records. Good, Chen replied, surprising her bridge crew. That means they're still thinking like Devourers. They've prepared for the weapons we used before, but they have no idea what we're planning to use now. The human battle plan was unlike anything in recorded galactic military history. Instead of organized formations and coordinated attacks, Chen intended to implement what she called controlled chaos. Every ship in the fleet would operate according to different tactical parameters, creating thousands of unique threats that the Devourer hive mind couldn't analyze and counter simultaneously. All ships, this is Admiral Chen, she announced on the fleet-wide communication channel, know your individual mission parameters. Trust your AI systems, adapt to changing conditions, and remember that the enemy expects us to fight like civilized species. Show them what barbarians can accomplish. The battle began with the Devourer's standard approach. Bioelectric discharges reached across space to disable enemy electronics. Acid clouds deployed to dissolve metal holes. Thorn-like projectiles launched from organic weapons to pierce shields and armor. The attacks that had destroyed countless alien fleets struck out toward the combined armada. None of it worked as expected. Human-designed. Electronic warfare systems had been installed throughout the fleet, creating false signals that confused Devourer targeting. Ships that appeared to be in one location were actually somewhere else entirely, protected by stealth technology that the bio-creatures had never encountered. When thorn projectiles struck their targets, they found hybrid armor that combined human metallurgy with alien materials to create protection that neither species could have developed alone. Execute Plan Chaos, Chen ordered. The combined fleet scattered in what appeared to be random directions, but was actually a carefully orchestrated maneuver designed by human AI systems. Each group of ships followed different tactical approaches based on their capabilities and the weaknesses their sensors detected in nearby enemies. Kavari vessels, now equipped with human kinetic weapons, punched through bioarmor that had been specifically evolved to resist their energy attacks. Theron ships used quantum targeting systems guided by human AI to strike enemies in ways their programming had never considered. Draconi heavy cruisers mounted nuclear warheads that detonated inside bioships, causing radiation damage that the creatures couldn't heal. The Devourer hive mind, accustomed to analyzing and countering coherent battle strategies, found itself facing thousands of different tactical approaches simultaneously. Their adaptation protocols, designed to counter specific threats, came overwhelmed by the sheer variety of attacks coming from every direction. "Sir, the enemy command structure is showing signs of confusion," Williams reported with excitement. "Their coordination patterns are breaking down." Chen watched as human cyber warfare viruses, now enhanced with alien quantum encryption, infiltrated the bioelectric networks that connected the Devourer fleet. The digital attacks didn't just disrupt communications, they introduced chaos into the hive mind's thought processes, causing entire groups of ships to receive contradictory orders. The 6 World Eaters, the most dangerous ships in the enemy fleet, became primary targets for concentrated human tactics. Nuclear-tipped missiles, fired from stealth ships that appeared and disappeared like ghosts, penetrated deep into the massive creatures before detonating. The atomic explosions didn't just destroy tissue and organs, they created electromagnetic pulses that fried the bioelectric nervous systems controlling the giants. "Target the central command cluster," Chen ordered, as her tactical display identified the core of the Devourer fleet. All available ships, concentrated assault. The response was immediate and devastating. Hundreds of ships from dozens of species opened fire on the enemy command center, using weapons and tactics that defied everything the Devourers had learned about galactic warfare. Railgun slugs moving at impossible velocities, quantum-guided energy beams that struck from multiple dimensions, nuclear explosions that flooded space with deadly radiation. The Devourer fleet, which had seemed unstoppable just hours earlier, began to collapse as their command structure disintegrated. Bioships that had fought with perfect coordination now attacked randomly or fled in panic. Some turned on each other as corrupted signals caused them to identify allies as enemies. "Sir, we're receiving surrender signals from multiple enemy groups," Park announced with amazement. "They're requesting permission to withdraw from the system." Chen looked around her bridge at the faces of her crew, seeing the same mixture of exhaustion and triumph that she felt. The battle had raged for 18 hours, longer than any engagement in the war's history, but the outcome was no longer in doubt. "Negative," she replied firmly. "These creatures have consumed entire civilizations. There will be no mercy for genocidal monsters." The final phase of the battle was more cleanup than combat. Human ships hunted down fleeing biovessels, while alien forces captured the few world eaters that had survived the nuclear bombardment. The Devourer threat, which had terrorized the galaxy for years, was finally broken as the last enemy ship died in the cold vacuum of space. Chen allowed herself a moment of satisfaction. The species that had been dismissed as too primitive to matter in a galactic war had become the architects of galactic victory. They had accomplished this not through superior technology or ancient wisdom, but by thinking differently about problems that everyone else considered solved. "Communications, send a message to all allied worlds," Chen ordered. "The Devourer threat has been eliminated. The galaxy is safe." The response from across known space was immediate and overwhelming. Celebrations erupted on thousands of worlds, as species that had lived in fear for years learned that the nightmare was finally over. Humanity, the backwater species that had been rejected by the Galactic Council, was now being hailed as the saviors of civilization. In the weeks that followed, as the combined fleet returned to their home systems, Chen reflected on how much had changed since Commander Reed's first diplomatic mission. The galaxy that had dismissed Earth as insignificant now looked to humanity for leadership in rebuilding and protecting their shared civilization. The greatest lesson of the war, Chen realized, wasn't about technology or tactics. It was about the danger of underestimating those who were willing to think outside established patterns. Sometimes the most primitive solution was also the most effective one. And sometimes being dismissed as barbarians was the greatest advantage of all.